Hey guys, I wanted to do my Q&A finally. I have had a lot of questions over the last 4 months actually since I announced the divorce and separation, and just lots of different questions that I've never really got to get to. So today is that day. I'm going to get to your questions finally. So I had one viewer ask, how are you and the kiddos holding up? I think we're doing really good. I think I am very grateful that my kids were young when all of this happened. While I never thought this would be my story and that they would come from a divorced home, I think it's really good that it was while they were young and didn't really, they probably won't remember a time when we were together. So I think that's actually a really good thing. So I think we're doing really, really well given the circumstances. One viewer says, but if you knew you were having problems during IVF, why would you still go through with IVF knowing that he could leave you while you were pregnant and alone? So when you're a victim, you don't often know that things are going on. You can kind of sense that things are off, or you just know it doesn't feel right. You know, you feel trapped, but you don't really know what exactly is going on until long after you're out of it. On top of that, I'm the type of person who really tries to see the best in people, and I would have never gotten divorced or left my ex. I would have just stayed separated and waited until hopefully he sought counseling or we got counseling together. But, even though I knew things took kind of a sudden turn for the worst, I had hope that through counseling and time, maybe things would turn around. So that's why I still went through IVF. And I really do believe life begins at conception. So when everything kind of hit the fan, the embryos were already created. And I was not about to just throw them away in Ecuador or donate them. So that's why I still went through with IVF. One viewer asks, IVF is so expensive. How could he leave you while you were still pregnant? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I know it's not just him. I know that lots of men leave pregnant women. Lots of men abandon families. Unfortunately, it happens. I don't understand it, but I can't control it, so I don't know. One viewer asks, do you have a good support system? Yes, I have an incredible support system. So my church is incredible. Most of my best friends and closest friends go there, and everybody has been so supportive to help me and ask me what I need and just provide me with counsel and love and encouragement and just surround my kids. My pastor even gave a message not too long after I went through the divorce, just saying, if there's any single mothers, and I mean, he knew I was a single mom, but if there's, to all you single mothers out there, your children will not go without father figures in your kids' lives. So it just gives me a lot of comfort to know there's lots of men in my children's lives who, despite what their father is doing, will love them and take care of them and pour into their lives and be a really good role model and influence for them. My parents are also incredible. My mom is always here. She helps out a ton, and she's become just a very strong figure in my children's life. So yeah. My support system is so good. I can't imagine walking through this any other time in my life. I think that God just had a divine plan for when I would walk through it, where I would live, who would be around me. I'm so grateful for my support system. On that note, another person says, I personally would love to hear how you function with your 3 littles. I survive some days, other days are great, but it's my support system. I have a great support system, and I make sure that I also set aside time for me to stay healthy physically and emotionally, and I think that really helps to then pour into my kids when I do see them. Not when I do see them, I'm with them 24/7. Yeah. How can men be so selfish and just take off? I don't know. It's beyond me, but I know women do it too. I know there are women who have taken off on their children and families. I don't know. How is Abram doing with his speech therapy? He is actually about to graduate out of it. He is almost 3, so he is no longer approved for the program we're going through, but he is doing incredible. I don't know how much speech therapy actually helped. I mean, I'm sure it helped a little bit, but I think it was just for him timing. He just one day just started talking. A few months ago, he just started talking a ton, and now he won't be quiet, and I'm like, Abram, how has your faith been impacted by the divorce? Was there a moment that you struggled to keep believing that this can still be a part of God's plan for your life? At first, when I first came back from Ecuador and we separated almost 2 years ago, it did impact my faith a lot. At the same time that I was becoming separated and my marriage was falling apart and that he was walking away from our family, I also lost one of our triplets. So I had a lot of things coming against me that really did make me not really question God's existence or his love for me, but just made me feel frozen. I just felt numb. I just felt like my whole world was crashing down and I just felt very numb. And in a lot of ways I felt jealous. Like when I would go to church or see people who had a really strong faith, I would almost feel like jealous when I would walk in and see people just worshiping God and just, even in the midst of their trials, just still having joy and hope and all these things. And at the time, 2 years ago, I really did not know how I was ever going to feel hope again. But so yeah, it definitely did. And the other part of the question was, did you struggle to keep believing this was part of God's plan? I mean, I think throughout everything, I really believe that God still had a plan for me, but it was hard to understand how can divorce be part of my plan. And I think the hardest part was knowing who my ex was for so long, and then knowing that his life completely changed overnight, which changed my life and the course of my children's lives. That was harder than anything. Just in your mind, you have this vision of where everything's going to go. And then when one person walks away from that, it was just utterly shocking. But yeah, now that I'm on the other side of it, I completely see where this was part of God's plan for my life and how he's going to use it. One viewer says, "Girl, I would love to see a day in the life with twins and a toddler. How do you do it?" I do need to do a day in the life with twins and a toddler. There's a lot of ways I do it. Probably my number one thing is a support system. My number two thing is make sure you take care of yourself, because if you're not healthy, how can you pour into 3 little people? And number 3 is I set aside money for babysitters and for a gym membership. That gym membership is $42 a month, and I can go for 2 hours a day and drop them off in childcare, which they love. There's a playground in there and they do crafts and the twins play. So yeah, I can go for 2 hours a day if I feel this need to just kind of like take a breath and not be with kids climbing on me. I can go do that. But yeah, support system, set aside money for childcare, take care of yourself, gym membership. One viewer asks, what are you in school for? What do you do for work? And do your kiddos go to school? My kiddos do not go to school because it's very expensive. So no, unfortunately, I cannot afford to send them to school at this time. What do I do for work? I am a photographer still. I do still do photography. I shoot weddings and do mini sessions whenever I have kid-free nights, which is now not ever, because our new visitation schedule, when I do have kid-free nights, I am either in school or doing worship, like ministry. So I don't really get kid-free nights. I have to squeeze photography in there very tightly, backed up against school or doing worship. And then I also clean houses during the week. I hire a babysitter 1 day a week and go clean some houses, and that provides some income. And then I get a little bit from YouTube, just a little bit. It's next to nothing, but it's something. And then what are you in school for? I am going to an adult program. I already graduated with my associate's degree, and I am going to school now for business management. It will take me about 18 months. I just started my bachelor's program. The cool thing is it's an adult program, and I only go Wednesday nights from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and it's for the next 18 months. So I will be done very soon. That 18 months is going to fly by. I want to know, what were your thoughts about your kids when you were getting the divorce? Did you explain it to them what was going on? I never really had to. My kids are young enough that, especially with the twins, their dad wasn't around much anyway. He was kind of in and out with just work, and then the times that he was deciding to leave or come back. So the twins really didn't know any different. Bram did have moments and nights where he asked about Daddy, and I would just say, Daddy's not here tonight, you'll see Daddy tomorrow, or whenever he would see Daddy. I tried to just never bring attention or negativity around the idea of divorce or our family separating. I just got him excited about, like, in 2 days you get to see Daddy, or we would look at a picture of Daddy and talk about him and pray for him, and that's still been a practice every night. And that is Bram Initiative. He's the one who asked to pray for Daddy every night. So we do pray for Dad every night. We do have pictures still in his bedroom of him and Dad, and I just really try and keep it positive. And when he cries out or asks for Dad, I just say, like, you'll see Dad soon. So I've never really had to explain it. My thoughts about my kids while going through the divorce was I was very sad for them. I waited for them for a very long time. You guys know my journey. If you don't, we went through IVF and prayed for years to have these children. So I was very sad for them. This is never what I imagined for their lives. At the same time, I read a quote when I was very early stages of separation and divorce that said, children are not ruined by divorce. They're ruined by parents who are constantly enthralled in conflict. And looking at the last 2 years of my life and how everything had gone down, it would have been so much more damaging to my children to remain in a very unhealthy home with two parents who really were not healthy together and just the dynamics of everything than it would have been to go ahead and get a divorce. And then I was able to create a very stable, safe, positive environment for them. That is the healthiest thing for them. So that's what I focused on, and that's kind of like where I directed my energy towards. Are you still doing photography? And are you open to dating in the future? Dun dun dun. Am I still doing photography? Yes. I'm not doing it as much as I was before we left for Ecuador, but this year I believe I booked 8 weddings, maybe 9 weddings, and I can't even tell you how many mini sessions I've done. A lot. Probably anywhere from 1 to 4 mini sessions a week that I do. Not so much in the winter, but from April through October. Yeah, it's busy, and I don't even have enough room to fit everybody in who contacts me because, again, my only kid-free nights, I'm usually working or in school or doing ministry. So, and am I open to dating? There was so many questions, and before I answer, I'm just going to read all the questions. So, are you open to dating in the future? And then someone else says, are you open to dating now that the divorce is final? What qualities are you looking for? Another person, there was another dating one. Where did that go? La 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 la. Carrie, if you ever remarry, will you want to do IVF again? So, am I open to dating? No. I mean, the short version of that is no. We've been separated for almost 2 years. And then he's been moved out of the house for forever. Almost the same amount of time in and out. So I was never really open to dating. I had no desire to go on Match.com and again, not that anything's wrong with that, but with 3 little kids, I just knew that my goal was to become very content and settled in who I was and my identity, and just to be very interdependent if I ever did get in a relationship again versus codependent. So I just really focused on myself. I focused on myself a lot and my kids and just becoming healthy myself. And I went to counseling myself and got back into working out and just had no desire to ever pursue a relationship or the idea of just kind of dating men, and as just for me and my beliefs anyway, if I were to date, I knew that it would only be with somebody who I could see myself potentially marrying. So, on that note, I'm not open to dating, but I do have a boyfriend. I know that's crazy. Like I said, I never went looking for one, and it's a whole nother, I'll probably share this story a whole nother time, but I did not go looking for somebody. Just short version is that I went car shopping, and the car dealer, one of the car salesmen, ended up meeting somebody when I went car shopping, and we became friends, and he's just probably the most incredible person I've ever met, and so now he's my boyfriend. I made sure that during that process I sought counsel and made sure that it wasn't too soon, but really looking back, my marriage has been unraveling since the day it started, and we've been separated for 2 years, and so I do have a boyfriend. The other question was, Carrie, if you ever remarry, will you do IVF again? Yes. I am open to doing IVF again. Not just with anybody. I've always wanted 4 to 6 kids. That's always kind of been on my heart, to have a large family, and that's always been the number that's lived in my head. And I don't think if I hadn't met the person I met that I would really pursue it. Just because I wasn't going to pursue dating in general. But I would love to do IVF again. I would love to have more children. I am open to the idea of adoption as well. But yeah, I would love to add more kids to my already amazing little family. And then one person asks, where was it? Do you have any frozen embryos? And if so, do you plan on using them in the future? No, we do not have any frozen embryos. Thank goodness. So that's just not even an issue. And then another person asked or said, I'm planning on removing a bunch of moles, but really want results like yours. Did you go to a dermatologist to get them removed? Yes. I contacted a plastic surgeon and they wanted like well over $1,000 just to remove my one mole. So I ended up finding out that you can go to a dermatologist to get them removed. After everything was said and done, including biopsies, so the place I went to, they biopsy every mole that they remove. It was $300. That's it. So I got that one removed, and then I had one like right here on my neck removed. And I am about, how far out am I? Maybe a month. And you can still see where it was, but they are not bad at all. So I hope that answers everybody's questions. If you have any more, leave them in the comments below. I love doing these little videos. I try and keep it super short and simple without going into explanations. I definitely want to kind of introduce you guys to my boyfriend and tell you guys our story. And I would also love to do a day in the life with twins and a toddler because it can be crazy and fun and all of that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people just wonder how a single mom does it. It gets easier every day. But yeah, I would love to do those 2 videos. If you guys don't hear from me soon, just remind me. Comment on a video and be like, Carrie, make the video! Because obviously I have a lot going on. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye!